on the Xbox machines to show the series' use of next-gen specs. We see screen space reflections on puddles and glass windows, no ray tracing here. To recap a little, Yakuza 0 and Kiwami ran at a full 60fps on PS4 and Xbox One systems. This changed with the Dragon engine, designed from the ground up for PS4. The downside, it dropped the series from 60fps to 30, as a trade-off for the visual upheaval. Let's talk on the modes then. You get three options: normal, high resolution and high frame rate. On Series X, this has the game render at a native 1440p, which to the best of my testing is fixed in place constantly. The trade-off for not going for a true 4K is everything targets 60fps this way. Next, there's the resolution mode. This is your full fat 4K option, but the sacrifice is, yes, down we go to 30fps on Series X. And lastly, we have the frame rate mode. This returns us to a fluid 60fps, though the resolution drops to a native 1080p in this case. The idea is it takes the resolution down even further than the normal mode in a bid to smooth over some of its performance drops.
Okay.
Now, the 1080p frame rate mode exists for a reason. There are occasional drops on normal, always relating to big skill attacks. Expect a few lurches into the 50s during alpha heavy moves, and very rarely much lower, much lower, much lower, much lower, much lower. For anyone looking for a more strict 60fps lock, the option is there too. The high frame rate mode essentially removes all the drops we see during big special attacks. You want 60Hz? You've got it here without any real issue. But the change to 1080p is quite a sacrifice on image quality. Also, it's not secretly a 120Hz mode either, we've tested it. Let's look at the high resolution mode. For those buying Series X to primarily see their games run at a native 4K, this is the way to play. The trade-off being we're running at 30 frames per second to get there. We're running at 30 frames per second to get there. We're running at 30 frames per second to get there. However, there are variances, all of which is to say the 30fps cap can have issues. Again, big skill moves drop it to the mid-20s, 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 but again the static camera dulls the impact of those drops. As far as this preview build goes, it's not a watertight lock, but it shows Series X can feasibly push to 4K and get away with it. There's no question this is a PS4 Xbox One era title in spirit though. Fundamentally, the core game is the same, putting it squarely in cross-gen territory. Like a Dragon then, is making a solid first use of Series X hardware. A dipping of the toe for now, let's say, but the upgrades are welcome.